Edward Snowden, a hero or villain? On June 5, 2013, The Guardian and The Washington Post released articles that revealed the scope of surveillance performed by the British and US governments. Both the NSA and GCHQ received public backlash as a result, and Snowden has since fled the US.
Edward Joseph Snowden is an American computer specialist born on June 21, 1983. He was born and raised in North Carolina in the United States. His parents were both government employees. His father, Lonnie, was an officer in the US Coast Guard, and his mother is a clerk in the District Court of Maryland. Snowden did not finish school due to a prolonged absence caused by illness. Instead, he obtained his GED at Anne Arundel Community College. He went on to earn a master's degree from the University of Liverpool online in 2011. Snowden's political views are not fully known, although he has said that he voted for a third-party candidate in the 2008 presidential elections. Despite this, Snowden has stated that he had been planning to begin making disclosures about the NSA surveillance programs at the time of the election, but he decided to wait because he believed in Obama's promises. For the 2012 elections, records show that he gave a monetary contribution to the campaign of the Republican candidate Ron Paul. What is known for certain is that he is a strong supporter of internet freedom, as in interviews with Mr. Snowden it can be seen that his personal laptop bears stickers in support of the Electronic Frontier Foundation and the Tor project. Snowden enlisted as a Special Forces recruit in the US Army Reserve in 2004, but was later discharged following a training accident that left him with both legs broken. In 2005, Snowden was employed as a security specialist at the University of Maryland Center for Advanced Study of Language. He spent less than a year in this position before joining the Central Intelligence Agency in 2006 as a Systems Administrator and Telecommunications Systems Officer. In 2009, Snowden resigned from the CIA and began working for Dell, a private contractor, inside an NSA facility on a US military base in Japan. Snowden remained an employee of Dell until early 2013. In June of 2013, reporters Laura Poitras of The Guardian and Barton Gellman of The Washington Post broke the story of the PRISM program. This program involved getting access to the data owned by companies such as Google and Yahoo, among other companies, by going directly to the companies with a court order requesting data on specific users. It is also understood that there were so-called blanket requests, which requested the data of large numbers of individuals as opposed to specific single users, although the NSA, GCHQ and all companies involved either denied the existence of these requests completely, or in the case of some of the companies, denied that they complied with these requests. The next major revelation provided by the Snowden documents was details of the Muscular Project. The Muscular Project involved the NSA and GCHQ gaining access to the privately owned fiber optic networks used by Google and Yahoo. These networks connect Google and Yahoo's respective data centers and were exclusively used for Google and Yahoo's traffic. These fiber networks, which span thousands of miles, were designed to be faster, more reliable and more secure than standard networks. The NSA and GCHQ, in joint operations, intercepted these fiber networks at a number of strategic points and began copying the entire flow of data to their own data stores to be investigated further. Up to 5 days of this recorded network traffic could be stored in its entirety in a buffer. Custom-built NSA tools were then used to unpack and decode the data, as although the data was unencrypted, both Google and Yahoo use a different data format for data inside their networks. The decoded data was then sent through a series of filters defined by the NSA and GCHQ. Data of interest was stored and data that was determined to be irrelevant was discarded. The third major revelation made by the Snowden documents came in January of 2014. It emerged that the GCHQ had full access to the video feeds from every user of Yahoo's Messenger webcam chat service, and that they were taking snapshots of these video feeds every 5 seconds. The images were then stored in one of the GCHQ's data centers. Apart from these 3 major revelations, other documents leaked by Snowden also revealed that the NSA had been tracking and mapping the location of cell phones, undermining attempts at encryption, spying on users of Second Life and World of Warcraft by creating characters and interacting with users, surveilling charities including UNICEF and Médecins du Monde, spying on 35 world leaders including the EU chief, the Israeli Prime Minister and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and also spying on various dignitaries from Brazil, France, Mexico, Britain, China, Germany and Spain.
The National Security Agency is the largest producer of signals intelligence in the US. It is one of the largest intel groups in terms of its personnel and budget. The organisation is tasked with global monitoring and the collection, decoding, translation and analysis of information and data. The NSA is also authorised to accomplish missions through clandestine means. The agency originated as a code and cipher decryption unit during the First World War. The Government Communications Headquarters, or GCHQ, is an intelligence agency responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to the British government. The agency works alongside other British organisations such as MI5, MI6 and the Defence Intelligence. The group was formed after the First World War, known as the Government Code and Cipher School, until 1946. During the Second World War, the organisation was famed for breaking German Enigma codes. General Keith Alexander has stated that he believes journalists do not know how to weigh the severity of the information they've divulged to the public, and that they don't think about whether or not this is in the nation's interests. Senator Dianne Feinstein has stated that the NSA is not listening to your conversations or reading your email. It's simply identifying phone numbers that could be connected to terrorists. Also, that it has provided meritorious because we have collected significant information on bad guys, but only on the bad guys over the years. Foreign Secretary William Hague commented on revealing to the public the operations that are taking place. He stated, "If we did that, it would defeat the objective. This is secret work, it is secret intelligence, it is secret for a reason, and a reason that is to do with protecting all the people of this country. If actually we could tell the whole world and the whole country how we do this business, I think people would be enormously reassured by it, and they would see that the law-abiding citizen has nothing to worry about." According to Andrew Parker, 34 terror plots had been disrupted since the attacks on London on the 7th of July 2005, and Sir John Sawyers has suggested that the leaks from Snowden have been very damaging. They've put our operations at risk.
Snowden's father described him as a sensitive, caring young man and a deep thinker. These traits are perhaps what led him to make the decision to leak the documents, as he stated himself that his reason for leaking the documents was, "I don't want to live in a society that does these sort of things. I do not want to live in a world where everything I do and say is recorded. My sole motive is to inform the public as to that which is done in their name and that which is done against them." His will to uncover truth and expose wrongdoing began back in his days working for the CIA, where he was witness to the CIA deliberately getting a Swiss banker drunk and encouraging him to drive home. Snowden said that when the latter was arrested, a CIA operative offered to intervene and later recruited the banker. It seems that this sparked his desire to seek out the truth, as prior to the end of Snowden's term, Snowden's supervisor wrote a negative report that stated suspicions of Snowden attempting to obtain classified information not authorised to him. Snowden initially tried to go through the correct channels to highlight his concerns with the way the NSA's PRISM and Muscular programs were being operated, and the various other concerns he had about the NSA in general, but nobody seemed to want to do anything about it. He was ready to leak the documents back in 2008, but when President Obama was elected, he decided to wait as he believed in Obama's promises. Snowden said that the breaking point for him was seeing the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, directly lie under oath to Congress, saying that there's no saving an intelligence community that believes it can lie to the public and to the legislators, who need to be able to trust it and to regulate its actions. Seeing that really meant for me that there was no going back. Beyond that, it was the creeping realisation that no one else was going to do this. The public had a right to know about these programs. Even after making the decision to leak the documents, Snowden wanted to do it in a way that would cause the least amount of damage, but making sure the people of America and indeed the world knew what was going on. It is said that Snowden has up to 1.7 million documents, but he has only released 1% of them, as he did not want to blanket release every document in case it could cause harm. Snowden publicly revealed himself as the source of the leak right from the start in the hopes that it would protect his former colleagues from being subjected to a hunt for the source. Initially, he did not want to go on camera, as he did not want the story to become about him and somehow take away from the revelations, although lawyer Poitras did convince him that it would be better for the story if he did. In response to the question of who elected him to expose the NSA, Snowden replied, "Dianne Feinstein elected me when she asked softball questions in committee hearings. Mike Rogers elected me when he kept these programs hidden. The FISA court elected me when they decided to legislate from the bench on things that were far beyond the mandate of what that court was ever intended to do. The system failed comprehensively, and each level of oversight, each level of responsibility that should have addressed this, abdicated their responsibility. It wasn't that they put it on me as an individual, that I'm uniquely qualified, an angel descending from the heavens, as they put it on someone, somewhere. You have the capability, and you realise every other person sitting around the table has the same capability, but they don't do it, so somebody has to be the first. Shortly before Snowden began releasing the documents, he travelled to China as he feared for his safety in the US. He stayed in China for a while and later travelled to Ecuador to seek asylum, but while on a stopover in Russia, the American government revoked his passport, having prosecuted him under the Espionage Act of 1917. Snowden is still in Russia today, and although he has applied for asylum in many countries, he remains stuck in Russia for the foreseeable future due to the fact that he cannot get a direct flight from Russia to any of the countries that have agreed to take him in, and he fears that he would be apprehended and handed over to the US government if he had to stop in another country. If Snowden was brought back to the US and tried, he would be facing 3 felony charges, which would carry a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison. The American Whistleblower Act was put in place to protect people like Snowden, but it only covers employees of the US government, and as Snowden was a contractor as opposed to an actual employee, it offers him absolutely no protection whatsoever. Opinion on Snowden varies, particularly in the US, where he is described as a hero, patriot and whistleblower by some, and a dissident and a traitor by others. Outside the US, opinions seem less divided and he is widely celebrated. He was The Guardian's Person of the Year in 2013, took first place in the 2013 list of leading global thinkers, was Time Magazine's Person of the Year runner-up, and placed number 1 in the Tech Republic's 10 Tech Heroes of 2013. Other accolades include being elected Rector of the University of Glasgow, winning the German Whistleblower Prize, winning the Sam Adams Award, and being chosen to give Britain's alternative Christmas message.